What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, the other day I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a post by the Tactical Brit, which was absolutely insane. I was completely blown away. He went ahead and said, I asked an AI art bot to give me the concept art for the next Battlefield game, Battlefield 6, releasing in 2023 by EA DICE. Oh man, and when I tell you that these images I'm about to show you are just absolutely insane, they are truly amazing, and it puts DICE to shame in my personal opinion. Now, of course, like I said, none of this stuff is mine. This was all from the Tactical Brit, so make sure you go ahead, check out his Twitter page, check out his YouTube page, and at the same exact time, he went ahead and posted this a little bit below, saying that the AI art bot in question is mid-journey. So if anybody is curious about this bot that's, creating this concept art, that is the bot right there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is the concept art for you guys. I'm going to start off and just kind of pan through all of the images all at once. They look phenomenal. Again, keep in mind, I'm kind of shocked myself personally that an AI computer bot was able to go ahead and construct this. I don't know how it's able to do so. Maybe it searches for multiple images across the internet and kind of, combines them into one photograph. I don't know exactly how it works, but regardless, it looks amazing. Just looking at all the details throughout all of these images is just phenomenal, and it really gives you the vibes of exactly what we're looking for with Battlefield 2042 or any Battlefield game, to be completely honest with you. We want the atmosphere of Battlefield 1, but we want the modern day vibes, the gameplay, all of the above from titles like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, some of the bad companies. That's all we ask for. Now, of course, it's going to be a little complex to put this stuff together into a formula that's going to work for the whole community, all the fans. It's going to be hard to please absolutely everybody. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the atmosphere, the vibes, and the looks of the game, I'm pretty sure across the board we can all agree we want a nitty-gritty Battlefield experience. That is something, or a charm, that Battlefield has always had throughout all of these years, while Call of Duty, pushed more and more and more away from their, military realistic vibes, which it was never. I'm going to say it right now because I know I'm going to get comments. Call of Duty was never a milsim. It's always an arcadey shooter. But back in Call of Duty 4, and World at War, and Modern Warfare 2, and stuff like that, they did a pretty good job with, keeping the realism intact while still having a very arcadey experience. But of course, over time, they started, animating everything within Call of Duty, adding in the most insane looking skins, camos, and all this stuff. Call of Duty has lost that type of charm that it had back in the day. But Battlefield has always been able to hold on, even within Battlefield 5, one of the most hated Battlefield games across the board. Still to this day, it's more played than Battlefield 2042 because of one reason and one reason only. It has the Battlefield atmosphere. It has the team play. It has the coordination. It has the vibes of just being an all-out shit. The sounds the weapons make, the screams of the soldiers, the color palettes they decide to choose within these games, the actual maps, the locations, the places that you're fighting at, the heavy vehicles between jets flying overhead, helicopters swooping on through with miniguns, tanks absolutely destroying everything around you. All of these things factor into the Battlefield experience. And Battlefield 2042 pretty much lacks each and every one of those things. Again, the photo that's in front of you looks insane. It looks fantastic. It looks exactly like a game that I would probably invest time into. You see, when I look at Battlefield, I don't look for a flashy, highly colorful game whatsoever. Never have I ever done that. And it's nothing wrong with colors. It's nothing wrong with, those type of atmospheres. They have tons of maps like that within Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3. Pretty much every Battlefield game has beautiful colored maps. But usually across the board in previous titles, those beautiful colored maps turn into absolute hellholes after about 20 minutes of playtime by the players. The 2042 maps, they stay intact. No matter how long you fight throughout these maps, it could be a tornado, the freaking tornado that, swoops on through. And once the storm is over, it looks like the tornado didn't touch one thing on the map. Everything is just crystal clear. And I said this in a video not too long ago, that the maps for the backstory of what 2042 is all about makes sense for them to be clear, nice looking, clean cut. Because we aren't in an official war. We're just a bunch of random people, joining forces on our own teams, trying to fight for resources at this point. But at least allow us to tear into these maps. I want destruction. I want these buildings to be collapsing. I want, walls to be torn through. I want campers to be completely exposed. I want the vehicles to actually feel like they have an impact. I want things to feel fun again within Battlefield. I want them to look like these images I'm showing you guys. I want them to have this type of inspiration. And the craziest part about this whole situation is that in the very beginning of Battlefield 2042, it almost seemed like they did have this type of passion within their concept art. Now, not all of their concept art was good, obviously. You know, they had definitely a handful of pictures and images that were just like, you know, meh, just showcasing off the horrible specialist system within the game. But there are just a fantastic bunch of concept art for Battlefield 2042 that looks absolutely outstanding. Nitty and gritty, dark and gloomy, and even though that doesn't have to represent, you know, how dark the maps are and, you know, it's hard to see people in an FPS game at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for as Battlefield fans. You know, Battlefield 1 was dark and gloomy. Yeah, I could still see my opponents 24/7. Just because a game is, you know, has that atmosphere doesn't mean it's going to be impossible to navigate around the map. It's just how the developers go about designing it. But then they go ahead and they release the game, and it's the complete polar opposite of what they put out in the concept art. It joggles my brain every single time, because even if they did have to go back to the drawing board, which they did within Battlefield 2042, you know, it started off as a battle royale, and then later on they had to turn it back into a multiplayer experience / hazard zone. So clearly it did go through some, you know, different changes. But at the end of the day, you know, that concept art could go both ways. I can see it in Hazard Zone, but at the same exact time, I can see all of these beautiful pieces of art right into the multiplayer experience. Yet they made the multiplayer experience almost like Apex Legends. Corny, a lot more solo, independent style gameplay, not team-based like all the other classic Battlefield games are all about. Specialist system instead of classes, and extremely bright and vibrant maps that never see any type of destruction or anything that will indicate that it's in the middle of battle. Battlefield doesn't necessarily always have to be about war. You know, it could be about different events, and this event right here that Battlefield 2042 is supposed to be partaking in is not a bad event. It would have been a cool, you know, backstory to back up this video game in every possible way. But the problem is they just simply did not execute. They put together something, a cool concept, but every last thing down to just the gunplay and the movement of this title is stripped from every other title besides Battlefield. Instead of enhancing on what Battlefield is all about, the vibes that the game dishes out to everybody, they decided, okay, you know what, Call of Duty's popping, you know, our game, Apex Legends, you know, we own that game and it's doing fantastic, and it must be doing fantastic for a reason, so let's strip stuff out of that title. You know, they literally take everything from everyone else instead of just specializing in what they do best. They already own a monopoly on the gameplay style that they have. Other games have tried to copy and paste their formula, but let's be real here. Even though we don't like some of these Battlefield games, no one has come close to truly taking over that style of gameplay. So I don't understand why EA is so worried. I don't understand why they have to keep trend chasing when they already have the trend right in their hands. They just have to go ahead and evolve it. But to be honest with you, I guess this makes a pretty good point, that even though the concept art might look outstanding, you know, from this computer AI, the concept art looks almost, you know, better than the whole catalog of concept art that Battlefield 2042 has. But just like with Battlefield 2042, it had a select few gorgeous looking pieces, and the gameplay did not back it up whatsoever. The same thing with those other images from the computer AI. It might look fantastic on the images, but whoever's developing it, whoever's behind the scenes, can they truly live up to the expectations of the concept that they designed for the game? Or are they going to alter it by the time it's released to everyone? Don't forget about World War III. The concept art looks outstanding. The gameplay was actually pretty solid. And here we are, and it seems the game is slowly dying. Now, I'm not saying it's dead. I'm not going to talk about that because the game hasn't even released yet. We have no clue what the future holds for that title. But I think it is a proof of concept that no matter how good a game looks or how amazing it sounds on paper, you should always, you know, keep a level head on all of these situations, because gaming has evolved. It's not like it was back in the day where these game developers were competing to make the best product overall so people would cough up their money. All they're really looking for is making the most profitable product, you know, something that can bring in a lot of after sales to top off how much money they can make from each title. That's all they look for. They don't care about how polished the game is at launch. They don't care about the replayability factor. They just want the initial income that the game will produce for them. It's disgusting. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like button. If I hate it, leave a dislike. Also, if you're brand new, enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. Also, want to chat me, there's two ways to do so: Twitter and Discord, both linked down in the description. And also going to catch me live streams of video games do over on Twitch. Link to that is in the description as well. You guys, thanks so much for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace out.